Have you ever wondered why Honda called it a CRF450X? Well, I may have figured out why that name fit my particular bike. I had an ex-girlfriend one time that, no lie, put blood-soaked roses on my doorstep with a note written in said blood, covered in all manner of offensive symbols that said that my mom was dead. Now, my 450X wasn't that crazy, but the similarities between my Honda 450 and that ex-girlfriend are shockingly similar. And before we get started, not all Honda CRF450Xs are psycho. I've ridden some that were genuinely fantastic. But moving on. A while ago, I released a video about how the Honda CRF450X is an awesome dirt bike and could be made into a capable dual sport, and how I wanted to make my 450X into a light adventure platform. In that video, I said this: making it into a lightweight adventure tourer sounds a bit crazy. I mean, with the maintenance schedule and the gearing, and let's be honest, those Baja races have teams of mechanics working to make sure every bit of the bike functions perfectly. And I have a lot more in common with Wilford Brimley,
I'm Wilford Brimley, diabetes,
than a Baja racer, and I'm a poor mechanic to boot. Adventure touring on it may be possible. I'm going to ride it until the wheels fall off. When they do, I'll let you know so you can make an informed decision about how Honda reliability lasts when maintained by a lazy, horrid mechanic who rides very slowly and crashes a lot. Well, the wheels never fell off and the mods were done. The very first thing that I did was put on a C-Concept seat, and you guys, I can't stress enough how excellent these seats are. I don't know what they make them from. My guess is some kind of amalgamation of unicorn hide and leprechaun beards and fluffy, poofy clouds. But they are fantastic. Next were the blinkers. I've gone through so many, quote, indestructible, unquote, blinkers that I used to buy just the cheapest lights on Amazon and install them for a day before inspection. However, the signals that I got from ExtremeDualSport.com were pretty expensive, but they have actually lasted through some pretty nasty crashes without a single scratch. So I wish I would have found these years earlier. They've actually saved me a lot of money. I replaced the stock plastic skid plate with a Deval plate. We threw on some Tusk large billet foot pegs from Rocky Mountain ATV-MC for a little more stability and comfort under the boots. For dot tires, we tossed on the Moto Z Tractionator Desert HT. And I love the front tire so much that I put one on my DRZ, but the rear didn't last as long as I wanted. We also equipped the bike with a tubeless system, both front and back, which means that flats would be a thing of the past. Repairs could be done with a plug, and the traction at low PSI would be outstanding. I bought it with an Exxon Valdez-sized Acherbys fuel tank already on it. I replaced the grips with Pro Grip 714 Rally grips, which are a bit thicker than motocross grips, but on a dual sport they really help dampen the vibes. We installed primary drive sprockets front and back, which are just a few bucks from Rocky Mountain. A smaller rear and a slightly larger front sprocket gave the 450X some really good highway legs, while it still held its own in the dirt. And like I said in the video, I wanted to give it a big headlight mod, since the stock headlight is about as bright as taping a cell phone to the number plate. However, a huge headlight mod is a pretty big commitment, and I just wasn't ready for that kind of serious relationship with the 450X. It wasn't the bike, it was me. I just saw us going in different directions, me in a more comfortable, reliable, slow direction. And the 450X seemed to want to go in a wild, free direction, a frightening, adrenaline-soaked, leave me in the hospital with poo in my pants direction, with lots of maintenance and attention. Attention that I just couldn't provide, so I had to let it go. Again, it wasn't the 450X, it was me. Now, the craziest part about my 450X is it would develop all these problems when I rode it. But when somebody else hopped on, even the same day it was giving me fits, it usually was mild-mannered and performed flawlessly. No bucking, no dying or stalling. Again, very ex-girlfriend-esque. I swear my 450X had a soul and a personality, like some kind of transformer. Feisty, jealous, needy, angsty, vengeful teenage transformer, and I swear it hated my guts. But all drawn-out, subtle, borderline inappropriate simile aside, my 450X experience was atypically frustrating. 90% of the time it was a fire-breathing monstrosity, my favorite bike of all time by far. That other 10% though, when it wasn't working, it was the worst. I couldn't have hated it more, and these mood swings would often happen midway through a ride. Suddenly it would stop running, then it wouldn't start. Then it would inexplicably fire up with one kick and go full Sauron, destroying all in its path again. At times it would very literally bug, where it would lose power, roar to life, go flat, explode with a wheelie, then die again. Riding the thing was a stress-induced aneurysm just waiting to happen. And it's not for lack of mechanical care either. I had it tuned up several times by the pros at Rocky Mountain, Gabe the Honda Whisperer, Derek the 450X Guru, and had Mr. Duff Factor on the phone a few times. After wrenching, it would fire up and get my heart all fluttering again, just to inexplicably break down and leave me stranded. Like a psycho ex, my ex loved the maintenance and the money and the attention, and for that extra care she rewarded me with mind-blowing performance until she wanted more. As a dirt bike, a race bike, that's fine. As an adventure bike with long fuel range, one that could get me far, far away from civilization and safety and feeler gauges, that just wasn't okay. In my last 450X video, an awesome adventurer named Ryan Carnahan commented that he took his 450X across the country and back from Washington on the Trans-America Trail. That is incredible and awesome, and this bike will do it, so they can be made into capable light adventure platforms. But my 450X? Well, I hesitated to ride it 50 miles away on a one-night campout. So for a guy like me, who definitely appreciates gobs of horsepower off-road, but still would rather have stability and comfort and reliability, sticking with the X just wasn't in the cards. But for now, the Crazy X is kinda where she belongs, out of my garage and in a rental stable with my friends at Kanan Motorsports, begging to be ruthlessly flogged by those strange men who come to Southwest Utah and need a ridiculously fun bike to rent. Weirdly, she hasn't had any problems since I let her go. She starts, she runs, and she still goes full-on Kill Bill. But as for me, I'm content to stick with my stable, reliable, dual sport DRZ. Again, the 450Xs are awesome bikes. The race pedigree in the Baja and the testimonials of thousands of happy riders is totally legit. There's nothing wrong with them. The 450X is outstanding. However, owning my particular Honda CRF450X was like dating the hottest, craziest girl in high school, the kind you don't bring home to mother. Very exciting, quite rewarding, fun to show off to your friends, but ultimately a total tease, more maintenance than I was ready for, and just not marriage material. And as it turns out, on the DRZ, I'm much happier and much calmer, but am I that much slower? Make sure to subscribe and check out my latest ghost race times in my next video to find out. Much love, eveRide out.